What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be finishing off the Showdown Hero Guide series by covering all of the dark side characters. If you haven't seen the light side video, there will be a link on screen at the end of the video, so make sure to go and check that one out as well. Now, I have already mentioned in a few of my other videos about going back and redoing all my original hero guides to better suit the new 2v2 mode. The guide you're watching now is going to be really handy, but it's not going to touch on some of the more important stuff like star cards and different playstyles for each map and stuff like that. So I'm contemplating redoing all my old guides so that you guys have some more detailed hero guides to watch. If that is something you'd like to see me do, then make sure to smash that like button and leave a comment down below letting me know you're keen to watch more of these kinds of videos. Like I said in the last video, it will take a lot of time and work to make all these guides, so I'm just trying to gauge whether that's something you guys would want to see before I start pumping them out too quick. Also, just quickly, we have set up a Discord server for the channel where you guys can come and chat with me and everyone else in the server, and there's plenty of different things to do in there as well, so if you are interested in that, then there'll be a link down in the description. So anyway, we're going to be starting off as Boba, who's one of my absolute favourite characters to play as. A lot of people do seem to struggle with him in the HVV modes because of his low HP, but hopefully these tips can help some of you guys out. His main strength is definitely the speed and agility he gains from having a jetpack. Depending on the map, you can just about be unbeatable as Boba as long as you are playing your cards right. When I say that, I don't mean camping up on top of the building because that's not fun for anyone, and we all hate players who do that, but if you learn how to use the jetpack well, you can really cause some damage without taking any of your own. His main weakness, however, is definitely his low HP. He actually has the lowest HP of every single character in the game, including all of the light side heroes as well. If you do manage to run out of fuel for his jetpack, then you can find yourself in a bit of strife a lot of the time. The best way to counter this is just to make sure you always have a tiny bit of fuel left just in case of emergency. Moving on to Bosk now, and in the right hands I'd nearly go as far as saying he's one of the top 5 characters in the game. His high jump mixed with his deadly abilities can just about be unstoppable if your enemy doesn't know how to counter it. His main strength is definitely his combination of abilities, all of which can cause huge amounts of damage, and this is especially the case when they're all used at once. There's been plenty of times where I've been killed by all 3 of his abilities at the exact same time, and while it can be frustrating, he is a bounty hunter, and I'm sure that's exactly how the developers wanted him to be played. His main weakness, however, is that he has a very slow sprint speed compared to the rest of the blaster users, and if you find yourself being chased by Rey or Luke without your abilities available, then you're in for a bit of trouble. He does also have a low base HP of 600, however he can fully regen his health no matter how low it gets, so that does help counter his low health. Moving on to Vader now, and I think we all know what he's capable of in the right hands. He's the type of character you should be saving for the later rounds because if he's on your side, then there's a very good chance you're going to go home with the win. He has the highest HP in the game by a fairly long margin, and that combined with his health on kill card makes him an absolute tank to play as. He also deals the most damage out of all saber users in the game, so with that and his high HP, you're at a massive advantage in a one-on-one saber battle. He does also have 2 pretty decent offensive abilities as well as a health buff ability, so he is a very well-rounded character in terms of offense. His main weakness is easily his speed though. I'm not 100% sure of the stats, but from all the hours I've put into the game, he'd easily have to be the slowest character in the game, or at least second to Chewie. If you find yourself in a situation where you need to run away to regain health, then you're most likely going to end up being caught fairly easily. Moving on to Palpatine, and while he's extremely overpowered in Galactic Assault and HVV, I've actually found that he's pretty well balanced in 2v2 Showdown. It seems like when there's less people to focus on, then he's definitely a little bit easier to take down. His main strength is his ability to regen health so easily. Every single time you hit someone with the chain lightning, it can regain anywhere from 20 to 80 health depending on which cards you have equipped. So as you can imagine, he pretty much has an unlimited amount of health if you can't damage him fast enough. He also has a pretty fast movement speed when you use his dash ability, so he can be pretty hard for enemies to take down. Despite being so good on offense, he doesn't really have any form of defense, so if you do get into a sticky situation, then it can often end up in a quick death. I've also found that sometimes his lightning attack doesn't work when you're too close to an enemy, so that's definitely something you need to watch out for as well. Moving on to Kylo now, and I've found that he's actually a very good support type player despite most people using him as more of an offensive type of character. His pull and freeze abilities are both an absolute dream for your teammate, especially if they're playing as someone like Iden or Boba. It pretty much leaves a free kill to your teammate while you can focus on the other enemy at the same time. He does also have a high base HP, so he is definitely a viable option in a one-on-one fight with Luke or Rey. I found that him and Vader matched up is pretty much unbeatable, so they're both really good to save for the later rounds if possible. One weakness he has though is the hit and miss nature of his frenzy ability. I'm not sure exactly what goes wrong with it, but occasionally it'll only make him swing once or twice even when it doesn't get blocked, so if you are going to use it then make sure you're aware that it might not work as you intend it to. Now moving on to Darth Maul, who's by far my favourite character to play as in Battlefront 2. He's the type of character that really suits anyone with an aggressive mindset and a rushing playstyle. He's pretty much 100% built for offense, so while he does lack a little on the defensive side, he definitely makes up for it with his crazy high damage output. His main strength is his insane speed and agility. Oftentimes you can actually make your opponent spin in circles because of how quickly he can move around. His abilities are all super deadly and they also have a really good use in a game mode like Showdown, so make sure to use them whenever you get a chance. His only weakness however is the fact that he can't block against both sabers and blasters, so he pretty much has no form of defense other than his speed. His saber throw ability is also very hit and miss still. The devs did say they fixed it, but it's still definitely a little bit buggy from time to time. Moving on to Ida now, and although I thought she wasn't all that well suited for HVV modes originally, I actually think she plays pretty well now that I've been using her a little more often. The alternate fire for her TL50 is really useful for keeping your enemies behind cover. And if you and your teammate are playing well as a team, you can pretty much lock down the other team while someone like Maul or Palpatine flanks and takes them out from the side. She does also have her stun droid ability, which is really useful for helping with the saber users. It allows you to deal a fair bit of damage while they're unable to block, so that's definitely another strength of hers. She does struggle a lot on the defensive side of things though. Her base HP is the second lowest in the game, and while she does have a health regen card, it can be a little useless in the HVV modes. Her shield ability isn't too bad, but when you're coming up against a saber user, it doesn't do a thing to halt their attacks. Now, last but definitely not least, we have Captain Phasma, and even though I thought she was pretty terrible when she was first added to the game, she's actually made a pretty big turnaround since then. Her Staff Strike's ability can still be a little dodgy, but she's definitely a better all-round character than she was in December. Now, this is pretty obvious, but her main strength is definitely her turret droid. I'm not exaggerating when I say this turret can single-handedly control the ebb and flow of every single game on every single map if you can manage to place it in the right spot. It has the ability to continuously stun anyone who comes too close to it, so you can place it in the choke point and pretty much cut off that area of the map from the enemies. It really allows you to control where the fight's going to take place, so make sure to use it to your advantage. Now, in saying this, it's actually one of her main weaknesses as well. Without the turret, so many people freak out and let the enemy take back control. If you don't stick close enough to the turret, it can easily be taken out, so once you place it down, you need to make sure you stay nearby or else you could be in a fair bit of trouble. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Hopefully all these tips help you improve your gameplay with each character, even just a tiny bit, and if I did manage to help you out with this video, then be sure to leave a like down below. As I mentioned earlier, if you do want to see some more in-depth guides for each hero and villain, then make sure to comment down below and let me know. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.